Maybe it's just me, but fall screams classics. I don't know what it is, but it's like the change of the weather, the fireplace is going, like it's just cozy, it's just fall reading, and classics are the book of choice. If you're like me, you have children that are a little bit older, maybe they're independently reading, but they're not necessarily reading like The Count of Monte Cristo. We're starting with some of the modern classics that are still gonna like teach them those classic stories and tropes, but they're not so dense or hard to read that the kids like aren't gonna be into them, and then you're gonna put them off of classics forever. This list is curated to appeal to middle grade kids. I've read all these books to my children, and also they're books that they can read themselves. So today is modern classics, mid 20th century and beyond. A lot of these are also Newbery Award winners, but they're not all Newbery Award winners, just some of them are. And I'm excited because one of these books I did not even intend to read out loud to my kids. I was just reading it to myself, and I was like walking around the house, and my kid came in and was joining me. And by the end of the story, the younger three were all sitting around and they wanted to finish the story together and read the next one. So stick around and I'll share which book that was. Okay, first one up, The Boxcar Children. It's about 4 kids who are orphaned and they are trying to find their forever home. That's really the very short summary. In book 1, they are orphaned and they find a boxcar and begin to live in it. And the older siblings are taking care of the younger siblings. It's just like a really sweet story, and they have a really cute video on Amazon about it as well. We read the book first, but my kids did enjoy the Amazon movie, or the movie that's on Amazon about it. But this is a really good classic story just about children, survival, and I don't know, I think them looking out for each other. The siblings just have such a good, close, affectionate bond. I really, really enjoyed that about it. I think it's just good for kids to hear stories where the siblings get along, aren't fighting, and are working together for the good. Next one is Sarah, Plain and Tall. Sarah, Plain and Tall is a really sweet story. It's about Sarah who answers an ad to be a wife and a mother to these 2 children, Caleb and Anna. And she lives in Maine. She talks about the ocean a lot. Anyway, she comes and meets them at their property on the plains. If you want to encourage books that have a lot of like family ties and good relationships and that kind of atmosphere, Sarah, Plain and Tall is the way to go. I love that the father is like talking to his children about finding them a mom and finding him a wife, and their mom died when she gave birth to Caleb, so it's been a while. Mrs. Pigglewiggle and Mrs. Pigglewiggle's Magic. It's about Mrs. Pigglewiggle, and she has a cure for every child's bad habits. So from selfishness to refusing to clean up toys, Mrs. Pigglewiggle has a cure, and if you're really smart, you'll use that same cure at home. Now, some of it was kind of silly. You wouldn't want to use it at home, but some of it is like not bad ideas. So I'm like, oh, yep. We've tried a few of her cures that were a little bit less on the crazy spectrum, but they were super, super fun. Definitely fun books to read out loud to your kids. They'll be laughing, they'll be giggling the whole time. Homer Price. It's about Homer and these silly situations that he finds himself in, like the donut machine that won't stop making donuts. And there's just many things that happen in the story that are just like very silly and absurd. It makes the kids giggle. They have a good time with it. I especially like it because Homer's a bit of a tinkerer. So he's always like finding things to do, and he'll accidentally capture the robbers, or he'll have a pet skunk. But he just does these fun, quirky things that kids enjoy, and that as a mom, it's like, oh, but also they're like adorable. So anyway, Homer Price is one of our family favorites. So Pippi Longstocking is such a goober, and she basically is a rule breaker. She just does what she wants. She's got a monkey, she's got a horse, she lives on her own, she's got a pot full of gold. She's a character to remember, you know, she sticks with you. I personally love her 2 little neighbors, and I feel for their mother because I feel like if I was the mother of the best friends of Pippi, I would be constantly worried about their safety, but also it's just fun and sweet and a good story. The book is titled Make a Way for McCloskey because it's got Make Way for Duckling, Blueberries for Sal, One Morning in Maine, and just a bunch of other, you know, little stories. Anyway, this is a really fun book. I read it to my niece when she was visiting me about 2 weeks ago. I think that a lot of us grew up on Robert McCloskey, at least when I popped into a bookstore recently and I purchased myself a little tote bag. Everybody that I was with was like, oh, I love that story, it's such a good story. Or I read that to my kids, but I found this cute little Blueberries for Sal bag and I was like, yes, please. Yes, please. So I got that because it was freaking adorable and I'm a sucker for cute tote bags and other bookish items. Anyway, if you don't get any book on this list except for this one, if you've got small children, like, can I just say, like, you will never regret getting this book and reading it to your little children over and over and over again. Like, just won't. Just can pretty much guarantee it. And then I realized I didn't tell you a single thing about it. Make Way for Ducklings. It's about Mr. and Mrs. Mallard. They're flying, looking for a place to live. New buildings are coming up in Boston and they're maybe having a little bit of trouble finding a safe place to raise their family. So they don't want too many people and they don't want too many predators. And you get to journey with the Mallards to their perfect destination and meet all of their 8 little ducklings, which are adorable and somehow feel real, even though they're just ducks in a story, but they feel very real to me. And then my other favorite from this story is Blueberries for Sal. Sal is a little girl and she is going blueberry picking with her mom, and the mom goes one way and Sal goes the other way, and Mama Bear and Baby Bear are on the other side of the mountain, and Baby Bear starts eating from Sal's mom's bucket, and then Sal bumps into Mama Bear. But it turns out okay, and they find their correct mothers. But it's a really cute little story, and it's about picking blueberries. You can't go wrong. It's a cute, sweet little story. I forgot to grab it, but the Chronicles of Narnia series, which we all probably are very familiar with at this point, like the books, especially the movies when they came out, you know, however many years ago, was really popular. And they did Chronicles of Narnia, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, Prince Caspian. We read those books when my kids were younger. I got them for my son when he was about 7, 8, and he read them. And then more recently, I actually listened to them all on audio just to like refresh my memory because they are just such good stories. And if you like C.S. Lewis and his writing and what he stands for, then you'll really enjoy the stories again. I highly recommend reading them. I highly recommend listening to them with your children because then you can talk about it. But it's courage, it's friendship, it's fantasy, it's sacrifice. So it's got like this thrilling adventure for kids, but it's got a lot deeper themes in it that adults can really appreciate and get into. Like, I read it, yes, it felt like it was written for kids and it was fast paced, but the story and the themes were so big and meaningful that it felt like still a good read for me. I listened to it alone. I didn't even listen to it with my kids. I literally just wanted to listen to it by myself again. The Sign of the Beaver. Now, I have read this book now at least 3 times to my children out loud, and it's still so good. It makes me want to go to Maine and walk along the river, which I will not name because I probably butcher the name of the river, but it's just an incredible story about a boy who is left alone in the woods, and then the Native Americans that are living there, they see that he's kind of been left to his own devices. His dad went back to Boston to get his family and bring them back to their cabin, to their plot of land, but it's a really good story, and honestly, it is like touching and moving and saddening, just in that the Native Americans, they're sharing, they're being so generous, they're helping Matt, but then they are getting driven away from their homeland. So in that way, like, it was kind of a hard read. Like, it made me really, really, really sad, but also like it was really special, like the friendship. I definitely just cried at the end over the connection that the boys had, and just like the disappointment and the loss and just, I don't know. Yeah, it's a really moving story. If you've never read it, I highly recommend, especially for the little boys. I'm sure my daughter liked it too, but she liked The Witch of Blackbird Pond even better, which is the same author. She liked The Witch of Blackbird Pond more, and they like this one more because The Witch of Blackbird Pond, it's also got a little bit of romance in it, so they're less interested in that. We've got this one, which I'm just gonna do a brief mention of, and then the next one is like my favorite, my most recent favorite read of all of these. I can't say it's my very favorite in total, but like the one I read most recently that I just like really geeked out over. But the next one is Charlotte's Web, and I'll be fast because we all know Charlotte's Web, but I also can't make a list about classics and not mention Charlotte's, so here we are. So obviously it's about Wilbur and Charlotte, and Wilbur's the pig and Charlotte's the spider, and their relationship, and that's all I'm going to say about Charlotte's Web because we like all know it. But do we all know the rescuers? Oh, no, we did not. So The Rescuers, first of all, it's got the price on here at 25 cents, which I thought was adorable, but I guess it was $2.95 full price. Somebody sold it for 25 cents not so very long ago. Interestingly enough, the illustrator in this is the same illustrator that did Charlotte's Web. Garth Williams, I believe is his name. Let me see. Yeah, Garth Williams. So same illustrator, very different stories, but The Rescuers is a whole series. Now, you're probably familiar, I was familiar with the movie The Rescuers, where they rescue Penny, but there's a whole list. Yes, indeed, a whole list of books by Marjorie Sharp that are part of the Rescuers series. We've got Miss Bianca. We've got Miss Bianca in the Orient, Miss Bianca in the Salt Mines, Bernard in a Bottle, Bernard the Brave. So just like super, super cute little stories. I only have this one. I found it at Goodwill a while back and I was like, ooh, I didn't know that. I assumed it was going to be like the rescuer story where they go rescue Penny, and it wasn't, but it was like when Bernard and Bianca first meet and stuff, which was so cute. I was so here with this book I read over the summer and I just thought it was adorable. And last but not least, The Cricket in Times Square, which I read to my kids last year for the like 18th time. Really fun story. Also Garth Williams, same illustrator in this story. I didn't mean to have them all back to back like that, but that's what happened. Anyway, Garth Williams also did this illustration. Such a cute story about the cricket who lived in the country, accidentally was brought to New York on a train. Turns out he can sing, and he makes friends with the little boy at the newsstand, and they have this, you know, sweet little relationship. That is the story of The Cricket in Times Square. And if you want to do yourself a favor, get it on audio and listen to Mr. Monk. Don't know his real name, but I'll put a picture on the screen. Listen to him read the story of The Cricket in Times Square, because my son, he is 17 now, but when he was about 5, 6, I had The Cricket in Times Square on a CD, and that's what he would listen to every night before bed. And so I listened to Mr. Monk reading The Cricket in Times Square. And so my son also loves The Cricket in Times Square, but he also loves the actor who played Monk on the TV show. So last but not least, this story was, I would say, the hardest story to read on this list. It is talking about bullying and empathy and compassion. It's called The 100 Dresses. It's about a little girl named Wanda, and she's coming from a poor immigrant family. She's teased by her classmates for wearing the same dress every single day. She keeps telling them that she has 100 dresses back home, and they're like mocking her and bullying her the whole time. And then the truth comes out at the very end. And again, this was just like a very hard read. It struck a nerve, just to teach your children to be compassionate yourself toward other people that are maybe going through something that you don't understand. We don't all know. We're seeing maybe one person, like we're seeing the chapter of somebody's book, not the whole story. And yeah, so I would definitely encourage all children, all parents to read that book out loud to your kids, because it can help you to have a conversation. It can just open the doors to a conversation about bullying, about compassion, about kindness, just being a good person, being a kind person to everybody, and not having prejudices against people that have less or you perceive to have less. Yeah, so it's just a great read in general. Oh, and the book that my kids followed me around the house so that they could hear me reading it was Sarah Plain and Tall. I was very surprised. I just started reading in the kitchen one morning when I was making breakfast, and my youngest son came in and started listening, and then the next son came in and started listening, and then the daughter came in and started listening, and by the end they were all listening and wanted me to read the next book in the series. I had bought the series a while back, and I don't know why I had in my mind that I wasn't gonna like it or it was gonna be boring, but I wanted to read it anyway, just like to see, because I couldn't remember the story very well, and I was so wrong. Such a good story. Now I want to know, which modern classics are your favorites? Have you read some on this list? Have you read other ones? Because there's plenty more. To be honest, I wanted to talk about classics that I had read recently so that I could speak to them with like an actual memory about what was in the story. So all of these are books I've read in like the last year so that I could like be really fresh. But drop your favorite modern children's classic in the comments, and we can just build this video out like into a big library of books that you should read to your kids. I just always love when there's resources for good books for parents. Love that. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video is helpful. I'll see you guys again really soon.